I talk about the key themes here because I think that it's a good way to look forward at what's going to happen. Here's the new moon energy. The big thing here is that the sun was at 12 degrees, which is sextile where the sun was at 12 degrees in Sagittarius on the December 3rd and 4th solar eclipse. So this is a powerful sun energy here. And not only that, but I'm telling you, it's like at the same degree to the minute. Actually, let's just look at it. I have it here for you. Yeah, it was 12:22. So here's the sun at 12:22 at the eclipse. And the other amazing thing that happened was this gateway here from Gemini to Sagittarius. And you might remember that, where do I have it? I might have it here. Yeah. So you see here was at 10 degrees. Here was Anteros. And then here was Aldebaran. So this made a gateway, a stargate, essentially. So that infused the sun and the moon energies here at 12 degrees during that solar eclipse. Now, that carries on into the energies here. Why? Because it is sextile within 2 minutes of what happened on December 3rd and 4th, depending on where you are in the world. So that energy of the gateway and of that stargate, now it comes in and communes in Aquarius, the symbol and sign of moving into our future right now, the innovation, the change, the group consciousness, and at the same time balance with the honoring of the individual in Leo, in which you've got Varuna passing through. Varuna is the Hindu god of the sea, of justice and law and order, who binds sinners. So that speaks to kind of the quality of the individual that's going to be elevated in this new age. I can't even believe I'm using the word new age. I mean, I literally would have just laughed at myself 10 years ago, but here I am. And you know what? It is a new astrological age. You know, it's interesting. Apparently, the Bible talks a lot about the ages. And I listened to a fascinating, it might have been Cliff High, where he was talking about how in the Bible, talking about the ages, the thought is that they were talking about these big astrological ages where there's a movement of the planets into one sign or the other, however that works. Now, this gateway energy, here you have Saturn, and it's within 3 degrees, so it's pretty meaningful and impactful. You've got Saturn within 3 degrees of the new moon. So this Stargate energy and this beautiful energy of innovation with Aquarius comes in to the new structures that we are dreaming on here with Neptune and Pisces. And these new structures favor heroes. They favor a heroic approach because you've got Pallas Athena standing here dreaming with Neptune, and she is the goddess warrior who assists heroes. She assisted most of the great heroes in the Greek dramas. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to show you here was you've got Mars surrounded by, at the new moon, Nike and Metis. Metis is the wise counselor, and Mars is, the god of war, but also this incredibly powerful energy. And then there's Nike with victory. So now Mars is carrying this energy forward, and he's going to meet up with Venus very soon. Venus has now stopped going retrograde, and it starts to actually move forward and progress forward. This, to me, is that relationships highlighted in the chart. Mars is much closer to Venus now. Now they're going to go through some trials because they're about to pass by Pluto. We'll have more on that later, but they're going to pass by Pluto, and passing by Pluto is challenging. But if you bring your divinity, if you choose to align within with the divinity that guides you, your conscience, okay, your sense of what is the right thing to do, not from an emotional or intellectual approach, but that inner sense that says this is it. And from the relationship with God, whether it's in prayer, meditation, doing energy work, your conscious connection with your soul, that's going to be challenging, but it's going to hone the relationships so that those relationships that are worthy of moving forward into Aquarius, because it's amazing. Venus and Mars are going to literally walk hand in hand into Aquarius together. They proceed together to 0 degrees and then to 1 degrees. Now you have this really interesting energy here still. I've talked about it several times. Sedna, the dragon's head, the North Node, and Ceres. Ceres, the mother, has come to comfort Sedna, the child who was traumatized. But now the North Node, because of its minutes, has moved between Sedna and the mother. She had come in retrograde back from Gemini to come here to comfort Sedna, and she was at the same degree with her motherly nurturing to help Sedna rise up out of the waters that she was tossed into somewhat unfairly. And now the North Node, the dragon, comes and unites with Sedna. That gives her the fiery power to do so. So you can see here what happened is that during the same solar eclipse, you had Mars opposing these energies of Sedna. And at the time I talked about, this is a great video, I talked about this whole thing with alcohol and all of it. So it was opposing. So Mars was adding fiery energy to this part of the story of the energies that's going on right now. Then what happened was Mars then went in, when it went to the end of Sagittarius, it was in a quincunx with Sedna and Ceres. And that brings kind of a layer of divinity to it. It's challenging, but it's 1/2 of a yod. It's like a special focus of the energies. Now, in Capricorn, as Mars proceeds with Venus, as Venus and Mars pass Pluto, they're going to be honed. They're only going to be able to proceed forward with their divinity intact, and anything that doesn't cut it is going to drop away. So thank you to my friend Andrea for her beautiful explanations of this. So then it passes Pluto to 28 degrees and then is in trine with Sedna. Pluto is already supporting Sedna to help recover her trauma. From her trauma, now Mars is going to do the same. You don't normally see Pluto in that position, so that's really beautiful. And then Mars is going to come into trine. So there's really a story here of male and female heroes coming to the aid of themselves, their families, their communities. And so this is a time of heroes. This is a time, this has not been favored until now. It just matches so beautifully with the astrology. And you see here, see how Lilith is all by her lonesome right now. I made a video recently about the rage of Lilith. But what she is she is in sextile with Eris, the goddess of war. And guess what? Eris is still square Pluto. Stirring things up. And you're going to have Mars pass over Pluto, which will ignite the fire of Eris as well. So something's going to happen here. And what it is Lilith is going to move into quincunx with Pluto when she gets to, towards the end of Gemini. And that's going to be very interesting, because I've noticed that with these big truck movements, you've got some real male heroes there. And then you can see that there are women heroes in the background doing a lot of organizing. So each of us has something to contribute in terms of those two aspects of duality, of us as human beings, because we're coming here to heal ourselves, our families, our communities. That's really the theme here, and it's so favored at the new moon as well. It was never promised that it would be easy, but we do seem to have the backing of the divine. In the Bible it says that there will be stars in the heavens. This isn't the exact wording, but I will give you stars in the heavens as signs, in the sky. All right, now we'll look at Hygeia and Uranus abundance. So you see here that Uranus and abundance are at 10 degrees. They are semi-sextile where the star was, although apparently we don't do aspects to stars. However, they were within a 2-degree semi-sextile of the sun and moon. So once again, with that energy activated up here, I think you've also got an activation of it down here with Abundance and Uranus exact in conjunction, and now opposing exactly Hygeia, which is health, in Scorpio. What this could lead to is dramatic shifts and changes of health secrets coming out that benefit us, okay, because of abundance here. Again, it's not easy because look at all these aspects towards Hygeia. Not a lot of them are easy, except for Venus, which is pretty powerful. So what does Venus value right now? Part of what she values is her health. And there's the potential for a dramatic shift in the favorable for that. And it is a favorable sign for these protests to result in something that is beneficial for people and their health. These energies are going to be carrying forward, especially in the next couple of weeks. I want to show you that you had the asteroid Anteros at 15 degrees. During the new moon, it was exactly conjunct Saturn at 15 degrees. I wanted to talk about what this has meant for relationships, and what this has meant is that Anteros, and with the Venus-Mars dance that's going on right now, Saturn is structure, and Anteros is, this is my interpretation now, it's very long-term, loyal relationships, almost like a higher, better, long-lasting, potent, but it's also the loss of this, and it's also the longing for this. So I believe that this dynamic is partly what is driving the hearts of people. And the people coming together in crowds, and here's the big, heavy vehicles all together and all the people coming out to see them. I believe that this Saturn Anteros sextile exactly is a big part of that, because it gives us the active longing for something better to occur. And that's very dramatic. It's very dramatic. And one of the things that this can do for you in the current moment is bring a light to your relationships across the board, where they're working for you, where they're not. But it also brings special insights now. What's the truth of a relationship? What's the truth of your actions? What's the truth of, do you really care? And it's a very powerful time, and people may be dropping away from each other and reforming in new communities, in new relationships where they find closer connection in their values. I wanted to show you something interesting here. Here you have Atlantis at 7 degrees of Sagittarius, and it was exactly squaring Jupiter. And it's really interesting. You could interpret this two ways. When I look at this Atlantis in the current times, I do have my own personal memories of Atlantis, and I did a film on that. It's a short 10-minute film called Atlantis Rising in the video list, so you can hear what I have to say about that. But essentially, I look at Atlantis in this chart as representing new technologies that are actually old technologies. The old is new again. And that can even relate to technologies that are, quote unquote, possibly from secret programs, possibly that we've had for decades. And so you have Jupiter here coming and really fueling. It's in a square. Okay, so it's fueling the energy of this. At the same time, there's kind of a fight. I think of squares as like a fight, okay? To see what's going to become dominant, or are we going to get along? So with Jupiter powering this symbol of Atlantis, I think that it powers behind the scenes potentially, because it's a square, so it may not come to light yet, but it may power this idea of new technology being presented that's actually old, that we haven't been told about, so it's actually old technology. But it also powers the power play between the forces of darkness and the forces of light, which was an ongoing battle at that time. Okay, although many of us weren't aware of it then, just as many people aren't aware of it now. You know, you live and learn, or you don't live and you still learn because you're an eternal soul. Blessings on that violet flame. Let's transmute that to love. Whew. It also potentially, you could see it as the fight of the saboteurs of love, because there was definitely sabotage in Atlantis, and we definitely are coming to see that our system in the West, that there's sabotage to us, to our cultures, to our systems, to our way of life. And that certainly was the case in Atlantis. And were there people that saw it in Atlantis? Yes, there were, but it's nothing like today. And thank God for that. You know, today it's like becoming a worldwide movement. In Atlantis, I think it was not like that. But, you know, I only have certain memories, so I certainly, you know, and then there are probably many alternate timelines of that because it was so traumatic and so many people were involved. The only other one that I really, really wanted to come back to was Lilith. And I just think that when she gets back into relation with Pluto, when she moves to 26 degrees, it's going to be really interesting because she's collected all this rage over this situation. But Pluto has honed himself as Venus has passed back and forth in front of him. And Lilith has honed herself as she has passed by Rigel, which in some ways is very similar to the energy of Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn. And so maybe in the transformation that Lilith has had to make and Pluto has had to make in this journey, maybe they've transformed for the moment into heroes.